All right, let's get started here. Hello there. My name is Zach Fierce, and we are here with another interview in the lounge. Joining me today is my friend Brett Pennings of Bowlcut Studios. He's one of the developers on Mage Quit and is an avid fan of local multiplayer games. And I'm very excited to have you on the show today, Brett. Thank you for
Yeah,
being
thanks for
here.
having me on, Zach.
My pleasure. So, I've would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself just to start, what you do, and um,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm the development and game design half of Bowlcut Studios, which is a two-brother studio based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's not a whole lot of a game development presence here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but we're trying to change that. Um, and Yeah, basically, I kind of have a full-time job on the side as well. So I do actually do web development, which is a lot of the same stack as game development because I use C# for both, right? And since I'm doing online multiplayer for Mage Quit, it's nice to kind of have that understanding of network architecture and that stuff. So
Hey, awesome. So, working
um,
on games and working full time at the same time?
yeah, yeah.
That's
Originally, I'm from Kalamazoo, and I kind of got my start. Actually, I think you're going to ask that question next. What got me into game design or game development, right?
we'll get there soon. Don't
Okay,
spoil it too much, but you can touch on it if you'd like.
okay, sure. So yeah, I kind of grew up always having an interest in games, but my parents didn't really let us have many. We did our first console was actually GameCube, which I'm 31, so first console being GameCube is pretty late. Um, but yeah, basically, I kind of idolized games because I couldn't play them a lot growing up, and so I taught myself how to program in eighth grade on my TI-83 plus, just so I could make games that I could play.
Mhm.
And I guess I've always kind of had an interest in coming up with rules for games that I'd make up and stuff like that too. But once I learned how to program, I was able to, put those ideas into code and
Hmm.
and then share them with other people.
Interesting. It was almost born
Yeah,
out of necessity then to learn how to make your
yeah,
own
yeah,
games
basically,
to make up for
yeah,
the hole that was left there.
yeah.
Very interesting. Well, I think you've answered a good chunk of it, but we got to start off by asking what got you into games, and would you say it's this need to create new experiences?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess I don't know. I've always been a big fan of games, and some of my best memories growing up are like playing games with my brothers, whether they're competitive or cooperative. I think that they sort of level the playing field for anyone that wants to play it, like even someone with like a physical disability or anything like that. It's nice to just have a common platform where everyone can kind of compete on an even level, or just experience some kind of adventure together that you otherwise wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you brought up kind of the accessibility access to game or the accessibility uh, s-
Aspect.
aspect. There we go of
Yeah.
games. Um, I think it's maybe one of the most important uses of the medium. Has that been a focus for you in game development?
um, Sort of. I mean, so I actually have a cousin who doesn't have any hands or feet, and I brought we kind of go on family vacation to Virginia every summer, and I brought Mage Quit along with me last time I went, which was yeah, last year, and so he got to play it for the first time, and he actually did really well. And I think that comes with the fact that I mean, you move an aim with one stick, and then you're casting one spell at a time.
Hmm.
So it kind of, I mean, it freed up. A lot of games require you to move and aim with separate thumbs, and so those are a lot less accessible for him. He still plays them. He's shown me screen caps of himself playing Titanfall 2 and
Hmm.
like getting kills and stuff. And so he uses both his wrists to move and aim, and then to shoot he just kind of pushes the controller down into his leg.
Yo, that's
It's pretty cool.
awesome.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him to stream for the longest time because um, he would be really good at it. And one of the things he wants to do, like career wise, is be like a motivational speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And like what better platform than Twitch, in my opinion.
Right. In fact,
Yeah.
we should have you worked with the Able Gamers at all?
I have not.
Because
I
they
know who they
do.
are, but I haven't really talked to them about this.
They've got a growing streaming presence, and not only are
Okay.
they looking for people to stream under their flag, but I'm
Yeah,
sure they
that
would have
actually.
tons of advice when it comes to
Oh
streaming in
yeah.
general, let alone I go to them for my advice.
Okay.
But how to get started and what is required and advice for just being in front of a bunch of people. So maybe we'll have to get you in contact with some of those people there and see what can be done. Because
Yeah,
crud,
that'd be really cool. Yeah.
we need more
Yeah.
people out there.
He has a YouTube channel, and his username is actually pretty good. It's limitless Jorge, but lim is spelled with a B.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty clever.
Awesome. Man, that's exciting. That reminds me of the recent Xbox. They released a new controller with all of these different ports
Oh
that you
yeah, I
could
saw
add in and
that.
remove,
Yeah.
and how cool
Yeah.
to
When
have
I saw
them.
that, the first thing I thought was, whoever buys this is going to get the accessibility award at GDEX next year.
Yo.
That's what I don't think it's out by then. But that's the first thing I thought when I saw that.
I'll have to ask them if I can borrow theirs, because any edge I can get in one of these awards with GDEX, I gotta
Yeah.
win back my pride.
You gonna go for that? You gonna go for the three-peat?
I've gotta, I've tasted it before, and
Yeah.
last year was a little rough. It was a little
Oh
hard
yeah.
on me.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Well, hey, we've got some questions from chat here.
Okay.
First, I've been asked to ask you about your skills with a trackpad.
Who asked that?
Let's see. There's a Cipher Machinations.
Okay. Actually, yeah, Cypher lives here in Grand Rapids.
Hmm.
He's also a streamer. Um, but yeah, I use my laptop for development, and sometimes when I test it, I have people jump on, and I don't have a controller with me or a mouse because I'm just sitting in a chair. So I'll play Mage Quit with a trackpad, which is pretty difficult, and that's my excuse when I lose.
Oh my gosh. There's some real skill there. I have opted to take my mouse everywhere if I'm stuck with a trackpad because I just can't deal with that.
I mean, it works well enough. It's not too bad.
Well, all the more power to you, friend. And
Yeah.
if anything to go by, people are asking you. I've got Cypher's followed up and says, FY, he almost doesn't lose ever. So I don't know if
I
there's a
sometimes
bit of
lose.
humility here with a trackpad, but we've got a question here from Watts for Power Man. Says, was there
Oh.
really any big inspiration for Mage Quit?
Yes, actually. So a few different things. I've given several presentations, like different kinds of presentations, and one of them I put a slide in for kind of what the inspirations were for the game. There's a Warcraft 3 mod called Warlock, which the core mechanic of that game is basically what inspired the whole, like, you're on an island surrounded by lava, you're a wizard, you like learn spells progressively, and pretty much all of your spells have knockback. So it's based pretty heavily on that, but I took a lot of the spell drafting mechanic is all original. In the Warcraft 3 mod, there was actually like a spell shop. So if you did well, you would get more gold, and then you could buy better spells.
Okay.
Which is a cool idea, except typically the person who won the first round would cascade to victory because they would just snowball.
Right.
And it got to the point where my older brother stopped playing with us because he realized that it was kind of broken. Like, he was like, oh, we already know who was going to win because they won the first round.
Oh, right.
But yeah, so I took that and flipped it on its head with spell drafting, where if you're in last place, you get the first pick of the spell. And it's all on one screen instead of being split on a bunch of different screens. Although now that online multiplayer is a thing, I guess it's back to being on different screens. So that mod for sure was kind of the basis of the game. But we took a lot of liberties with the different spells we designed and making it elemental. And let's see, on top of that, I'd say Super Smash Brothers. with like the style camera that we have, sort of the spirit of the game, just a bunch of like buddies in a room, just beating each other up in a game. And I guess the whole knockback aspect is pretty Smash Bros esque. And then so let's see, also Legend of Korra, or I guess Avatar: Last Airbender, either one. In Legend of Korra, there's actually an episode where it's like all about pro bending, which is like a sports version of something. Yeah, pro bending. Okay, so have you seen like Legend of Korra or?
I'm very familiar. I've seen the entire series. For those who aren't familiar in the chat, it may be useful to explain a little bit. But
sure.
Yes.
So Avatar: Last Airbender. Well, Legend of Korra is a kind of like the spiritual successor to that show. And basically, there's people that can bend different types of elements, and by bend I mean they can kind of control them and move them around. So you have firebenders, waterbenders, airbenders, and earthbenders. And originally, when I was going to make this game, I was just going to have 3 elements. It was just going to be earth, fire, and water. And then I started watching. Someone told me that I could get some pretty cool ideas for spells by watching The Last Airbender. And then, as I watched it, I was like, well, now I need to add air for sure. Like that needs to be a spell, or it needs to be an element. And then so I added that, and then they were like, okay. Well, I watched the entire show because they said, yeah, there's a they actually have like a sport in there that they play, and I watched the whole original show, and there aren't any that's actually in Legend of Korra. So I never saw it, and I was like, hey, what were you talking about? I didn't see that at all. And then so I had to watch all of Legend of Korra to get the inspiration for that. So there's actually a level, or there's a stage in Mage Quit called the Coffin, which is based off of Legend of Korra. So if you play it with teams, there's a kind of like a barrier in the middle that separates the 2 teams, and it sort of moves with the teams. So that it's halfway between the teams, and then if you push that line back far enough, their back wall will drop off, and you can knock them into the lava. So it has kind of the same spirit as Legend of Korra.
Very interesting.
So that's another inspiration for the game. And then the last inspiration I would say is Rocket League. Partially because there's a level that's called the sports, and it's basically just like it's kind of like a hockey arena, and there's a flaming puck in it, and you hit it around with spells, and if you score on the other team, they all die. And there's a company in Grand Rapids that plays Mage a lot. They play it, I would say almost every work day, maybe every other. But if any of them start playing regularly online, we're all going to be hosed.
Oh yeah.
But basically, the mode that they've been playing now is sports only. So they'll just select that level and play 3v3s.
Interesting.
And they did a tournament like that recently. It was apparently pretty fun. When they told me about the tournament, I gave them 3 keys to give the top 3 people that played.
Oh, sick! Cred. There's a burgeoning esports scene here. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, so definitely that level was kind of inspired by Rocket League, because like unconventional like sports games can be super fun. Like if you ever played Lucio Ball on for Overwatch, that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I like Rocket League better, but that's opinion. And then the other reason I would say that it's kind of inspired by Rocket League is when I played that, I got this unique feeling that that all of the progression in the game, that's not even a unique feeling, it's fact. All the progression in the game is you getting better at the game. There isn't any like functional unlocking that happens in the game. It has a really, really deep learning curve, and it's all in your head. Like none of it is like actual game progression, which is really cool. So it kind of, and the different components of it, like let's say you start playing, you could play Rocket League by just driving around and jumping and never doing any sort of like flips or anything like that. But then you start to master flips, and then you do that, and then you start to master kind of flying a little bit to knock the ball away from someone before they hit it. And then you start mastering like juggling the ball or like carrying the ball through the air. Like there's layers to the game that you don't have to try to do up front that slowly expose themselves as you play, which is
Awesome.
really cool. So trying to design a game with
Hmm.
that in mind, basically like allowing new people to play it, allowing new people to play the game, but then start discovering new things and getting better at it. So in Mage Quit, the way that shows itself is there's a spell curving mechanic where you hold on one of the triggers while you're casting it will curve the spell. So that's another level of mastery that somebody can get down. And different spells have different curve amounts, so you kind of have to get the feel for each different spell before you can accurately curve it and hit people with it.
So
And then on the
there's.
other hand, it's coming up with spell combos,
Hmm.
like really effective ones, and trying to get those down while you're playing against people, and even just trying to choose find spell combos with spells that aren't that popular, so that if you're winning, you still have a chance at getting those combos, so you can pull them off.
Right. That's a wow. The breadth of inspiration and thought that's gone into the design of this game, from Rocket League to Legend of Korra to Smash Bros to just there's an incredible number of elements that are coming together to create a truly unique experience from the many times that I've played, and that you have shown passion in kind of cultivating into something new and something deep is shows
You're
a lot
kind
of
of cutting out
experience
a little
here.
bit.
Oh, I apologize. Let's see here.
Well, it's not your fault. I'm sure it's my internet.
It is a little it's a little in and
I'm
out, but
actually I'm gonna hijack the Ethernet cable from behind me and see if I can get a better.
all right. I will entertain the chat here for a few moments then, as Brett gets restationary. We have a wonderful shot of Brett at the moment, I'd like to point out. If you can you still hear me, Brett?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we got a
Hang
question
on.
from 3 Days JPT
Cool.
asking, are there any plans for expansion, campaign, etc.? See if you can still hear me. Hello, hello.
Okay, I think the Ethernet kicked in, so it should be better now.
Awesome. We got a question
Okay.
from 3 Days JPT. Any plans for
Okay.
expansion or perhaps something like a campaign in the future for Mage Quit?
Ooh, that's a good question. So Chad actually came up with some lore for the game, which I really like. Okay, so those of you who don't know, the way you win at Mage Quit is by you get kills and it makes your beard longer, and whoever has the longest beard at the end of 9 rounds wins.
Mm-hmm.
So the beard technology is very important. So Chad's idea for lore, those of you who don't know, Chad's my brother. He's the other half of Bowlcut Studios. He does the art and animation. His idea is that it's actually the beards that are controlling the wizards, and the beards are evil. The wizards are not inherently evil, and so the beards just I'm picturing this ridiculous like Cinema 4D animation that he's going to put together, and it will probably be a giant beard-shaped cloud that flies over and rains down little beards, and crawl towards these like townspeople and like just stick to their face, and then their eyes go angry, and then they start hurling spells around. That's
oh
anyway.
My goodness gracious! But, the lore goes deep.
The lore goes real deep. Yeah. So basically, that could be the basis for a story mode. We'd have to kind of flesh out what a little bit more plot there, but story mode would be really fun, and I think the gameplay aspect of the story mode would be that you would probably be placed into battles in these arenas, and you would be forced to fight rounds of enemies that would be AI controlled, and I think there'd be a different enemy that would correspond with the different spells that are available in the game, and that would be the only spell they'd have or something like that. And so if you wanted to learn how to play the game, that would be a fun way to do it, because you would essentially be introduced to the spells one at a time. And as you take these guys out, you can like learn their spells or something. So that's kind of one idea we had for story mode. I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. I'd say story mode is pretty low on our list of priorities, because there's a lot of features that we want to add first. The one that I really want to add is I have spell mechanics designed for another 42 spells.
Yo.
So there'd be 6 more elements And I'm really like those spells I designed based on what worked in the first like the spells that are the most fun
Hmm.
out of the first four elements. I designed the next six to kind of capitalize on those and expand that even further.
Holy crap! So perhaps we could be looking forward to 6 more elements or to start
Yeah,
playing
so
with.
I guess I could give you guys
Wow.
some teasers.
What you got? Exclusives here on the
Okay,
Q&A.
exclusives. All right, here we go. So one of the elements that I'm looking at making would be nature.
Hmm.
And one of the favorite spells that I came up with that is it would be the utility spell for nature, and it would be called Reflex. And you would throw it. It'd be a skill shot, obviously, because everything in Mage Quit is a skill shot.
Hmm.
Um, if you hit somebody with it, the last spell um, class that you used, they would be forced to cast theirs immediately. So
Whoa.
let's say you threw your primary spell,
Hmm.
and then you hit them with Reflex. They would immediately throw their primary spell in whatever direction they're facing. It doesn't
Whoa.
sound that useful, but it forces them to waste a spell. But then when you kind of think about it more in depth, um, let's say you hit them with a melee attack and
Hmm.
knock them away from you, and then hit them with Reflex. Well, melee, if you don't hit somebody with it, they fall over. So you would essentially, it would turn into a stun for you, like a 3-second stun if you could land it.
Oh,
Um,
very
another
interesting.
another example would be like if you used a dash, used your movement spell,
Hmm.
and they were facing harmful terrain, and you hit them with Reflex, they would run in that direction,
Hmm.
and you could potentially make them like run into the volcano or something like that.
Yeah,
So
man,
there's a lot of really ridiculous stuff that could come out of it.
that's exciting. I'm looking forward to, and I think we're all looking forward to seeing what you come up with and what ends up making the cut. We've got a question here from Hexad Games. What's your advice for new game developers? And I'd follow up
Mm.
with, what is your one biggest tip for new game developers?
Ooh, my one biggest tip. Okay. Let's see. Advice for new game developers. I I would say, I guess, plan on either going AAA and moving a lot or being a hobbyist dev for a while. Um, I don't know. I know a lot of developers, a lot of game developers that have full-time jobs that do game development on the side they're like, one day I'm going to do it full time. But I think some of them get disheartened because
Hmm.
it doesn't seem like it's happening fast enough. But like, you should know that that is most of us, most indie devs anyway.
Hmm. It
Um,
truly is. I can speak from my own experience.
so
It's a nightmare.
yeah, also getting started. This is a question that I should have a better answer to by now, but I would say kind of the best way to do it is go on YouTube and look up a tutorial for just making a simple game in Unity.
Hmm.
Um, if you don't know programming at all, you would maybe want to start by doing some online tutorials like Code Academy or something like that
Hmm.
to learn a little bit about the basics of programming before you get into trying to make a game in something like Unity.
Right.
Um, but I would say if you do go the route of designing or making a game in Unity and following a tutorial, I would say rather than just following along with the tutorial, maybe come up with the game that you want to make. That's pretty simple, and then adapt that tutorial to fit the game that you want to make because it will force you to actually learn what the tutorial is telling you rather than just following steps and then having a finished product and not really knowing why it ended up that way.
Hmm. Man, it's a
Um,
bit of a trial by fire
because
then.
that's yeah, exactly. Actually having a game that you want to make and struggling through it and just like have this error, Google the error, go on Stack Overflow, find a solution. Just that process over and over and over, it hammers into your head how to do it,
Hmm.
um, which is really good.
Hmm.
But I would also say if for a new game developer, I definitely fell into this trap initially, which is uh, biting off way more than you can chew up front.
Hmm.
So the first game that I wanted to seriously make in Unity was uh, an MMO. I'm ashamed to say, but it
We got to start
because
somewhere, right? So start at the
I should
top.
know better. But there's always those people that they have the great idea. They have these great ideas, and they don't really have any idea how the scope of that implementation and how much work that's. But my idea, basically it was a zombie MMO, so super original. Um, but really the cool thing about it though was going to be that there was a finite number of zombies. So as you killed them off, there was actually like you were actually doing something. Like in most games, if you kill a zombie, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter at all. They'll respawn or it's just part of the game. But in here, you like the goal of the game it'd be a cooperative MMO where you're trying to wipe out like the zombie apocalypse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that was my first attempt, and I remember cracking open a Unity example game
Mm-hmm.
and just being entirely overwhelmed. I was like trying to adapt it to this like there was no chance. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, um, come up with a simple concept that you want to make, and don't like seriously make it as simple as you possibly can, and set the bar as low as you can for what you want to make. And then once you hit that, then either make something more difficult or add on to the game as you go. Yeah, I would say, but for sure, have something in mind that you want to make. That way, you have a project that keeps your interest, and you're not just following tutorials online for the sake of following tutorials.
Right. That's the hardest advice as a new developer, but probably the most valuable. Start with something achievable. Those SMART goals they taught you in school, and I would definitely echo that advice. We've got a question here from Roundaround. Have either of us seen the Legend of Korra games pro bending minigame? I haven't played Legend of Korra game myself.
You have?
I have not.
Okay, I haven't played it either, but I've seen some gameplay clips. I watched some of them while I was coming up with that stage in Mage Quit. But I heard that it was bad. Is that right?
I don't want to be a hater, but it received less than average reviews. Less than average reviews was the general consensus.
Yeah, I heard it was bad.
Not for the story or for the look. I assume it was some gameplay related stuff.
Yeah, I figured as much. I mean, it looks fine. Like the art style matches the show. So.
Oh yeah, how can you go wrong? Well, I'm sure. Well, I shouldn't ask that.
You shouldn't. Yeah. Apparently, it went wrong.
We got a question here from Cypher Machinations. Does Brett ever think he'll beat Night Gamer?
I beat Night Gamer all the time.
We got some strong claims here on the Q&A. Let's see. Ronan with our classic Q&A question. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
What kind of swallow?
The Cypher followed up with African or European. So I think you were thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I'm going to go through some questions real quick. If not, I've got one. Ooh, did you have any Jake Omega 137? Did you have any major mistakes, false starts, etc. when working on Mage Quit?
Yes, actually. This I guess Mage Quit was probably, I guess technically the first title that I tried to work on when I started with Unity. And do you remember the Ouya?
Oh, I remember the Ouya.
All right, so that was the intended platform for my first attempt at Mage Quit. I remember when that Kickstarter came out, and I got super pumped because an Android console meant that I didn't have to get approved by any sort of development platform, and that I could just build and load on there, and I'd have a game that's being played on with a controller on a TV.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very exciting idea. Emphasis on idea. But they suggested that you use Unity to make your games. So that's what I did. I started learning Unity, and I was terrible at it. And the first attempt was, oh man, can I do a screen share on here? Yes, I can.
Yeah, anything you put.
I'm gonna
go for it.
Let me try to find. Hang on.
Just avoid having bank accounts open in internet browsers, and you should be free to go.
I'm not doing any of that. That's a good point. Streaming 101.
All right, go for it. I will even try to full screen if I get the chance. Ooh.
Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
All right, what you got?
Hang on.
Let's see. We've got some riffraff in the chat right now asking about when you're coming to Switch.
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I'm actually putting together my Switch proposal right now.
Hey, we should talk sometime about that. We should talk sometime about that. I can't confirm or deny anything, but we should talk about that sometime.
Okay, so this one's actually not terrible. All right. Let me full screen this and then switch to capture mode.
Here we go.
All right, screen share. Entire screen, yes.
All right. Ooh, there we are.
Can you see it?
Yes, we've got a kind of a
Cool,
disc-shaped brick-laid asphalt.
This is my first attempt at Mage Quit, and these are. I actually had AI working, which I don't have AI in the current version of Mage Quit, but this is the awful first attempt at Mage Quit.
Oh my goodness gracious! Look at those little guys and the particle effects.
The UI in the game was all real world UI, which is why it looks bad.
Oh my goodness gracious! That's incredible.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna switch back to the camera. There we go.
All right, we gotcha.
Yeah, so that was attempt number 1 at Mage Quit, and one of the big mistakes that I made with it was not how terrible it looked, even though it did look terrible. The mistake was that there were no cast times on any of the spells.
Oh.
So you would throw the spell and it would go immediately, which then makes the game just a bunch of aiming and button mashing. Like as long as you're facing the guy when you cast the spell, like it'll hit him. One of the big things that I kind of realized was in Warlock, which was not in that first attempt at Mage Quit, was the fact that different spells had different cast times before the projectile would finally go. So what that ends up doing is it creates kind of an anticipation. So you kind of predict where you think your opponent's going to be, and then you cast your spell, and then while the wind up is happening, that's when both players tense up with oh no, am I going to get hit by that, and oh no, am I actually going to hit them with that?
Right.
So the more powerful spells have the longer wind ups, which create more anticipation. And plus it kind of turns the game into a mind game, right? Like, where are you going to aim? Where should I move? That whole kind of thing. When are you going to throw your spell?
Very interesting.
So I would say, yeah, I didn't really know much about the engine, so I didn't really know what I was doing when I first started. So, but the pitfall was was really that cast time thing.
Sick. And if you don't mind me asking, I think I've asked before, but what engine is Mage Quit running in?
Ooh. Still Unity.
Awesome. Let's see here. We've got a number of questions. Alex in Wonderland asks, what conventions will we see Mage Quit at?
Oh man. So we've been to probably 14 conventions now. We started, the very first convention that I ever took Mage Quit to was a convention here in Grand Rapids called JFAX. And that was, I got there and I was like, what am I doing here showing off my game? Like, I was the only indie dev there. And it was, I felt really weird about being there. But then people started coming up and playing it, and they liked it. I was getting good feedback, and I'm like, all right, this is actually pretty awesome.
Yo, that's exciting.
So then I started reaching out and contacting other cons. And as I'd go to these other cons, I'd get suggestions from other people of what other cons to go to. So I went to Grand Rapids Comic Con, Youmacon, GDEX, which you know and love that one. That's in your town. And I actually almost didn't go to GDEX. There were the 3 other guys that I went with posted in our Game Dev Michigan Discord saying, "Hey, we need a 4th person for our 20-foot booth. Is anyone interested?" And I was just kind of like, not really. Like, it costs money? Nah. And then they talked to I guess one of them had talked to Garrett, who kind of heads up the Grand Rapids Game Dev meetup that I was at earlier today, actually. And he was like, "You should have Brett go with you." And I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll go." But that ended up being awesome. So that Youmacon, which is in Detroit, which we're going to again this year. And at Youmacon, I met somebody who had the PAX contact, the guy who kind of schedules everyone for PAX.
Oh yeah.
So if I hadn't met him, I wouldn't have gone to PAX South. So we went to PAX South. We went to PAX East. We went to some anime cons kind of all over the place. We went to one in Columbus. We went to one in Omaha. We went to one in Orlando. And then we went to PopCon most recently. No, I guess not most recently. We did JFAX again. And this time for JFX, I brought 4 of my indie dev friends with me, so we had kind of a showcase instead of just me and a TV.
Sick. Man, you've got this convoy now going, touring around with
Yeah, I like
games.
it, and our con setup has improved significantly since the beginning.
Sick.
Yeah, we actually have stadium seating for like when we go to PAX. We set up like a riser in the back, and then we have these benches that we spread out. Yeah, it's fun. It's been fun to kind of upgrade that as we go.
I've seen those pictures.
Okay,
We'll be
cool.
posting Twitter and links at the end here, folks, but you need to check some of this stuff out. It's seriously impressive. We've got a question here from Undecked Puma. How long till we see a console version?
Uh, so I'm putting together a pitch deck for getting Mage Quit on the Switch. I met the Switch contact guy at PAX East this year. So he sent me details of what I need to basically put together and send him back. And then he also sent me an example of like a successful pitch deck and what that looks like. And I'm like, okay, this looks like a lot of work, but so I'm still working on that. Once I get the content done, I'll send it to Chad, and then he'll make it all pretty because he's the artist and designer for the game. Yeah, so that we're waiting on that for the Switch. I think the Switch obviously would be the best console for the game, assuming I can get it to run well. Because the Switch has the least powerful hardware out of the three consoles that are out now. I actually have I have an Xbox One dev kit, and I have the game running on it. But I'm having some issues with the video module where it makes the game unplayable after a while.
Oh, shoot.
So I kind of ran into technical issues there, and then I was just like, you know what? This game needs online multiplayer more than it needs an Xbox version. Yeah, so I'd say maybe Switch by the end of next year. That's what I'm putting in the pitch deck for when we'd have it done.
Sick.
But yeah, it hasn't been approved yet, and I haven't sent it out yet.
Well, hey, sounds like there's stuff in the books, folks.
Yeah,
be listening.
Yeah, hopefully. So that I'd like to get it on Xbox One, obviously too, because I already have a dev kit, and then also PS4 would also be awesome, but that one's the lowest priority because they only allow 4 controllers. Xbox One and Switch both allow 8.
Is that so? I wasn't aware the Xbox One allowed more than 4.
Yep, Xbox One allows 8. Little known fact.
Very
PS3
interesting.
actually supports 7.
What?
Yeah, because that's a Bluetooth limitation. But PS4 they kept it at 4 for whatever reason, and they're not planning on changing it. So
very interesting. It definitely benefit from a mess of players. So we'll be hoping to see many people playing at once. We've got Jake Omega here, 137 with a question. There are so many games these days that it's easy for games to get overlooked. Can you talk about how you've gotten Mage Quit out there and how that's gone?
Have I? I don't know. I feel like based on my sales numbers, I don't feel like I have really gotten that out there. I mean, I guess I'll probably always say that though.
I know exactly how you feel with these things. With we recently took Bombfest off of itch.io, but as much as I push that, I can talk that at least itch, a smaller market, harder to push, we sold less than 50 copies total. And it was meager. It wasn't our main market, but still sitting there saying, oh man, only 50. That doesn't pay for too many lunches.
No, it definitely doesn't.
What will it do in the bigger market? Is this a sign, an omen? It's scary.
I think it's just because, what kind of marketing did you have behind it though?
Mostly personal and the few conventions we went to, so.
Exactly. So same with me. We just kind of went, anytime there was a convention we could go to, we went to it. And I'm going to go ahead and say conventions don't really sell copies of the game unless you can bring copies of the game with you. We actually sold, I think, over 200 copies at PAX East, which I was not expecting at all.
Shoot.
But that was only because we were offering bulk discounts and we were selling them on the spot. So someone gets done playing, they have they have their adrenaline going. They're like, that was awesome. I want more of that. And then you're like, well, you can get more of that right now.
Oh no! You give them a taste, then you tell them that you got their fix.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to hook them.
There you go.
But yeah, basically, yeah, being able to sell your copy at the place is really important if you want to make sales. But for the most part, conventions don't really sell copies of your game. I think sales do much better, although I can't even say that yet because we just started our first sale since launch last Friday. So right now, Mage Quit's 25% off until this Friday.
Yo,
And
we
we've
should be
sold.
bumping that.
What's that?
We should be
Oh,
bumping that, if you guys are
probably. I mean,
really
it's
intrigued
good
here,
timing
folks in
since we didn't
chat,
do it.
we'll have some links
Yeah.
at the end to go pick up a copy yourself. Get your fix, as
Yeah.
they say.
Get your fix. But yeah, we have online multiplayer is in open beta right now, which to a lot of people means that it's free, but it's not. So I don't know. We might do like a free weekend at some point just to try to get a whole bunch of people to try it. Try to get them hooked. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I had something else to say about that. Oh, yeah, I guess trying to promote your game. So one of the mistakes we made early on was we put the game on Steam Early Access without really like much of a marketing plan. Like I did what all indie devs do, which is get a Twitter and tweet about it every once in a while. Whenever you have anything sort of interesting to share, you put that up. And like I was like, cool, this is what indie devs do. We're gonna sell so many copies. And I posted it with a 15% markup or markdown, I guess, when the game came out for a week. And we sold like 100 copies or something like that in the first week, and that was it.
Oh man.
And I think a lot of people bought it thinking that there was online multiplayer without actually reading the page. You would be amazed at how many people on the internet don't read anything.
Yep.
And they just make assumptions and then will give you a bad review because they made assumptions about your game.
Shoot. Yeah.
But yeah, basically people would buy it and then be like, oh, it's local only and I need controllers to play this. Yeah, there's also a lot of people on Steam that assume that if a game is on Steam, it's because it doesn't require a controller.
Yep. Oh man.
And it doesn't require friends. So that was I put that in giant bold letters at the top of the page was, hey,
you need friends.
At this point in development, Mage Quit is local only. You will need controllers and you will need friends. Is what I put on there to try to deter people from buying it if they didn't think that was the case. But yeah, I think a lot of people bought it and then returned it right away because they were like, "Oh, I can't play this."
Man. Well, hey.
What was the original question? I totally got off track.
I think you hit it. It was getting Mage Quit out there, and how has it gone? So, I think you well covered it. And we've got.
So ahead. As much as I say that conventions don't really sell copies of your game, if you make the point of conventions to collect email addresses and make connections, then they are worth going to. One of the other big advantages of expoing your game is if you're expoing your game, try your hardest to not explain the game to people when they come up. It's going to be hard to do because you're going to watch them struggle through it, but you're going to learn so much about how bad your user experience is of your game and how bad your UI is that you'll know exactly what to fix based on what questions people keep asking you when they play. And having that like endless supply of testers is really valuable.
Oh, incredibly so.
Yeah.
We got a quick question here from, let's see if I can do this, Nujak Ujada, who says, how is Brettert so smart and handsome at the same time?
That's my friend. That's my friend Mars. He's just trying to make me smile.
Did it work?
Yeah.
We've got Evan Todd is in the chat saying, Brett.
Oh, Evan.
Just wanted to ask.
Tell Evan I miss him.
Evan, you are well missed. What was your favorite moment from Mage Quit development, he asks.
Favorite moment. Like the actual act of developing the game or favorite moment of all time?
I'll leave this one up to you. Whatever you think would be more interesting.
My favorite moment of Mage Quit development.
The act of developing, he says.
Act of developing. Oh man, that's a tough question. I'm going to have to come back to that one.
All right, so we will come back to that one. Let's see. Ooh, this is a tough one. Cypher Machinations asked, How does Brett deal with negative review and views on something he spent so much time and energy on?
Not well.
Oh man, I know how you feel. I had a playtest.
No, it's like you see a bunch of really positive reviews, and then you see one person give your game a bad review because they couldn't kill their friend in it.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could think is, that seems like a you problem, not a me problem.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
like I can probably recite from memory all the bad reviews that are on the main page. There aren't very many, but those are the ones that stick in your head, and you're like, man, what did I do wrong?
Yeah,
But
I don't know about you,
really,
but I'm
if
sitting
you're
there and I'm
making a
like,
game, if
mhm.
you're making a game that you think everyone's gonna like, then you're not making a game. You're not making a good game. It's just gonna be a bland pile of code.
Oh, let's see here. We've got a question from Absolutely Average. Did you ever consider only selling the game in a pack of 2 to 4?
Only selling on the back of 2 to 4. That's interesting.
Maybe an interesting marketing tactic.
So as far as I know right now on Steam, they don't let you sell the game in packs anymore. They used to be able to sell them in bundle discounts, and I did a lot of research and tried to figure out how to do it. And all I could find was a bunch of forum posts saying that they turned that off and that any instances of it that are still on Steam are all legacy.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm not. I'd have to look again, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Um, that's a cool idea, though. I do like that. I'd be worried that I know a lot of gamers on Steam tend to be PC gamers because they'll either play single player games only or they don't have a group of friends that also play games. And so they need that anonymity or they need some existing community to be able to just jump into and play games with. So I'd be a little worried that forcing them to buy 2 copies when they don't have someone else to give a copy to could be detrimental to the game sales.
Still an interesting tactic there. I wonder
It
if there's
is
a way
though.
that it
Yeah,
could make it work
I hadn't
well.
considered it. At conventions, we do sell them in bulk, and we offer bulk discounts. So what we've done is, so you either buy 1 copy for the same Steam price, or if you buy a pack of 4, then you basically get it for the price of 3. And then if you buy a pack of 10, you get it for the price of 6, which is a huge discount. So at PAX East, we sold the most of the packs that we sold were 10 packs.
Very interesting. That's
There
incredible
was one guy
data.
who bought 2 10 packs. Yeah, I was
Wow.
like, this guy's got friends or just money.
Or he's got 20 TVs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's incredible. Let's
Yeah.
see here. We got a lot of chat here back and forth. A lot of people recognizing each other in chat. If you've got any more questions, please hit us with them. We got a time for, I'd say, 2 or 3 more, depending on how long it takes us to get through Evan Todd's question.
I'm guessing you're getting a lot of the Wonderland crew in here.
It has been a wonderful thing.
Alex gave you a shout out, and I think a bunch of them showed up.
Well, I appreciate it, Wonderland crew, and all of your cohorts. It is. Thank you for coming to support Brett and my humble stream. Let's see. So, Evan Todd's question still hangs in the balance. What is
development moment?
favorite moment development?
Okay, I would say any time that I've found any I'd say it would all have to stem from like emerging gameplay in the game. I don't know if this counts as development. Yeah, ask Evan or ask Todd if
that's. All right, Evan. I'll leave that up to you. Let's
leave it
see
up to
here.
me.
Let's see. We'll have a quick one here. Sure, I'll take it. He says.
Okay. All right. So I would say anytime that I've found 2 spells that completely break the game together, that's been my favorite moments because they're always found by other people and not me. So for example, I was playtesting a bunch with people at where I work and here in Grand Rapids, and so there's a boomerang spell that what it used to do when you hit somebody is it would split into 2 boomerangs, and then both of those would try to come back to you. And then if those hit someone, those would split into two, and then those two boomerangs would try to come back to you. So it could turn into a bunch of boomerangs if you did it right. There's also a spell that's a vacuum. If you hit someone with that, it creates a vacuum around them for 5 seconds. And so one of my coworkers discovered that if you hit someone with a vacuum and then threw a boomerang in there,
it's a
it
blender.
would basically launch them really far out into the lava, and they would die instantly. And then 20 boomerangs would come floating back to them afterwards. And I was like, okay, I should probably make that not a thing that can happen. So I changed the boomerang to not split into two in order to fix that, and instead it gets bigger each time it hits somebody. So it's still super good if you can pull that combo off. But instead of it being a ton of boomerangs that instantly kill somebody, it's one boomerang that will continuously knock them away. And it's still really it might still be considered broken, but it's not as broken, I guess.
It's still a ton of fun. That's one of my favorite spells.
My other favorite one would be, so it's boomerang related again. These are all wind spells. I should just take the wind element out. It seems to break the game. But so originally I programmed, when I programmed the boomerang, this was before I had it splitting even, but you throw it at somebody, and then I also had the deflect spell. So I was playing and someone threw a boomerang at me and I deflected it. Well, what I didn't think about is the boomerang is trying to make its way back to the person who threw it, right? So if you deflect the boomerang, then you take it over. But I wasn't changing the target. So it would continuously try to come back to the person who threw it, but it wouldn't belong to them anymore. So it would just keep hitting them over and over until they die.
Oh gosh, that's awesome.
I felt terrible after I did it because the guy who threw the boomerang at me it was his first time playing. He was probably like, "This game sucks."
Hey, if we've learned anything, trial by fire is the best way to learn. Teach him the power of magic next time he picks up a wand or picks up his beard, I guess.
Yeah.
We've got a couple quick questions. Cypher machinations, Pop-Tarts or Toastal Strudel?
Oh, that's the question.
That is the question.
I thought that was another person's username. I'm going to have to go Toaster Strudel for sure.
Oh, interesting choice. I can't agree with you there. And let's see.
Why wouldn't you pick a dessert over breakfast food?
Oh, but breakfast is the best meal of the day. Dessert doesn't even make the menu.
It is, but if you could have dessert after breakfast, or better yet, dessert for breakfast.
That's a good question. We've got a question from Alex in Wonderland. Does Brett have any single brothers?
No.
Oh, sorry, fans.
Yeah, no, technically no. I don't think. Chad is, I don't know. He's interested in a girl, so he might as well be single. And my other brother Craig is married.
Let's see. We've got some happy chat from the answers to these questions. How do you care for your beard? Asks Hexad Games.
Who asked that?
Hexad Games.
I trim it like once a week, and that's pretty much it.
Impressive. That's what I do. It just doesn't come out the same. And finally, one last question from Stardew Moon. What was your favorite part of indie dev, and what part do you feel helped you grow the most?
Favorite part of indie dev, I would have to say, is the community. Mostly because the community is based out of a bunch of people that are doing this because they love it, and definitely not because there's any money in it.
Yeah.
And so we all just commiserate and try to live out our passions and still make a living somehow.
Truly.
What was the second part of that question?
What has helped you grow the most?
What has helped me grow the most? That is a good question. I would say I really like the Mage Quit is a game that I've wanted to exist for a long time. And so just my drive for that game to be a thing and do everything that I need to do to make that happen, I think it's that drive that has forced me to grow the most. But also the community, because they're just a bunch of great, nice people.
Man, I would fully agree here. I mean, trying to pull one of these games together it's no task taken lightly, and
It
you
is a
will.
labor of love, especially when you start throwing online multiplayer into it.
Oh, good gracious,
I
does it?
spent my entire Christmas break rewriting the spells for Mage Quit to work over the network.
Oh my gosh, truly,
It,
you are the Saint Nicholas
oh my
of
goodness,
magic spells.
it was a thing. And then when I was done, I like didn't believe that I'd finished it. I was kind of like, wait, that's a task I never thought I'd finish, and it's technically done.
No joke.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We got a few quick questions here as we wrap up.
Okay.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Wise. Um, how does your beard care for you?
Oh my god. Um, how does it care for me? It makes me not look like a 10-year-old, and that helps a lot.
There we go. You don't want to see this face without a beard. I
You do
lose
not.
10 years. Oh,
Yeah. And
and
it makes it look like I have like a chin.
mm.
But when this is gone, it's kind of just I got like a turtley thing going on here. Bad news.
All right, I've got to close off with one final question from Jake Omega 137. How'd you come up with the name Mage Quit?
That's a good question. So I was at working in my day job, and I was just kind of thinking about words that rhymed with mage, because the best puns come out of you just thinking of things that rhyme with other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking of well, okay. So first of all, the original name for Mage Quit, the name we were using until I came up with this name was Element Arena, which does not have a ring to it at all,
Mm.
and it's also really it's 6 syllables. Who wants to say a 6 syllable thing? Like
Oh man,
the
I run
first
out of
Rocket
breath.
League didn't succeed because they gave it too long of a name, right?
What was it
Call it
originally?
Rocket League, and suddenly everyone wants to buy it. Anyway, so it was called that, and I knew it needed a new name. So I was thinking of a bunch of things that rhymed with mage, and one of them was sage. And I was like, parsley, mage, rosemary, and thyme does not work. That's also too long. And then I was like, rage. Like, what kind of words use the word rage? And I was like, rage quit, mage quit. And then at first I was like, okay, I'm like, that's kind of dumb. But the more I like thought about it and said it, the more it kind of stuck, and then we just sort of went with that.
Hey, awesome. Something short, sweet, simple, rolls off the tongue.
Yeah,
There's a beauty
and
to
it's
it.
definitely memorable. People will walk by, like even people who aren't going to buy the game or have any interest in it, will walk by the booth at conventions we're at, and I all the time I just hear people walk by and go, ha, Page quit, and they just keep walking, and I'm like, all right, I'm glad I helped make your day a little bit.
You impacted their lives in some
Yeah,
way.
changed so many lives with just that name.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up here. We're coming to the end of our time. Thank you so much, Brett, for joining us. I want to announce
Yeah,
to the chat real
thanks for
quick
having me
here.
on.
Very, very honored to have you. We will have a video recording of this entire talk here on YouTube tomorrow. I will stay up late to edit and code this. Brett, do you have any plugs that you'd like to make? Websites, Twitter accounts, whatever?
Sure. So my personal Twitter is just my name. So at Brett Pennings, because I'm white. That's what white people do.
Simple.
And simple, simple and boring.
Okay, that's
I'm pretty good at that. So there's that, and then there's so at Mage Quit Game is our game Twitter, and then at Bowlcut Studios is our studio Twitter. We have a Discord server that has about 300 people in it, and we're kind of using that right now for our online multiplayer matchmaking. And it just got verified yesterday. The server did, so we
yo.
have a fancy vanity URL now, and it's discord.gg/magequit.
That's
Nice and easy.
insane. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to ask you about that sometime.
it's not that insane, and it's pretty easy to apply for.
Well, I will definitely be asking you about that then.
Okay. So yeah, those things, and then yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Mage Quit is 25% off until Friday, and we've had a bunch of people in here just trying out the online multiplayer, and it's been going really well. I guess kind of the next steps for the game are allowing people to drop in and out of a match as it's happening, because that'll be huge for matchmaking. And then anonymous matchmaking, so people can just say, "Hey, I want to play," and then if anyone's on it, we'll throw them into a game. Yeah.
Awesome. We've already got some confirmed purchases here in chat, so
Ooh.
hopefully, hopefully this was beneficial in the least.
I never get sick of talking about Mage Quit. So
well, if you
just
folks,
ask my friends.
if you enjoyed Brett on the stream, maybe we'll have to bring him back because we're getting questions and more out the wazoo here. So I might be talking to you again on stream sometime.
Do a part 2 sometime.
Ooh, yes. Maybe you can dress up as your brother, who I've heard many things about, but have never seen in person.
Dress up.
This Chad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That
Yeah,
I've heard
you said
about
that at GDC.
I've
put
met
on a
Brett
muscle
personally,
suit,
but
I'm gonna-
I've heard many things about his brother, and I've never run into him. We've always been ships in the night, it seems.
I mean, yeah, Chad is elusive and a magical beast.
May he grace my presence someday. All right, folks.
Well, you'll see him at GDEX, I hope.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it again this year. I've got my table, and I will see
I'm
you
gonna
there.
make sure that whenever you see him, that I'm not up nearby, so that he's somehow me.
You could fool me. You could fool me easy enough. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. Or we are wrapping up, not soon, now. Thank you for stopping in the stream. This has been Q&A in the Lounge with, I shouldn't say with Zach, that's me, with Brett Pennings. We're hoping to do these once a week, as long as I can schedule it out. And we would love to have your questions. Feel free to follow the channel if you're interested. We've got a Discord for our stuff below, but please, we've got links in the chat for Discord for Mage Quit and Bowlcut and their Twitter accounts. Please hit that stuff up. Check them out on Steam. And one last time, thank you so much, Brett, and I hope to be talking with you and hanging out with you in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right. Thank you, Chad, again for all your wonderful questions, and we will see you all next time. See ya!